The Maker Signal with Benjamin Lyles.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Maker Signal. I'm Benjamin Lyles, and today I want to talk about something that I think every creative person runs into sooner or later. You have an idea, and almost immediately your brain says, that's weird, or nobody's gonna get that, or maybe that's probably a bad idea. And sometimes, yeah, it is. Let's be honest. Not every idea deserves to survive, but sometimes an idea isn't bad. It's just unusual. And I think a lot of creators kill interesting ideas way too early because they don't look familiar enough. So today I want to ask, is it a bad idea? Or is it just a weird one? One of the strange things about creativity is that people usually feel safer around things they already recognize. I'm one of them. If you hear a song that sounds kind of like something you already know, that feels comfortable. If you see a show that follows a similar familiar format, easy. If somebody pitches an idea that fits neatly into a category, great. But the second something crosses boundaries, people get suspicious. What exactly is this? Who is this for? Why would you combine those two things? And honestly, that can happen in your own head before anybody else even gets a chance to react. Sometimes the first person to reject your weird idea is you. Now, let's go back about I want to take us back about 30 years. A good 30 years. It's actually 30 plus years. I don't know if The Simpsons are still on at this point. The last I heard a few years back was The Simpsons were still going on, and it, I'm bringing this up for a reason because about the time that The Simpsons first aired, I was a kid. I was in my teens, my early to mid-teens. I was somewhere in the range of 13, 14, or 15. By the time I was, let me think about that. When I was 12, yeah, when shortly before I turned 12 was when Back to the Future came out. So it's right about in that range, from 12 to 15. We only had three major networks: CBS, ABC, NBC. And you had your standard shows. When Fox started, it was a new channel. They broke the mold, especially with The Simpsons and Married with Children. Oh my God, those shows were so far from left field. They were weird. And that fits this topic that we're talking about. So I think creators self-censor too early, and I think Fox probably did at the beginning. I think creators are really good at talking themselves out of things. And who would have thought that those 30 some odd years, Fox would still be a major player even now. They pulled ABC, CBS, and NBC into a healthier competition, and I think that's a good thing, especially amongst podcasters, creators, authors, songwriters, programmers, anybody in the tech world. We're all creators. All of us that are in that whole vein of entertainment. I'm in entertainment regardless of whether I choose to be or not, because I've been playing guitar. I'm a musician. I'm a programmer. I've been a programmer since I was a kid. So I'm just weird. You get an idea, and before you even test it, you start building the case against it. Nobody's doing this. This might confuse people. This doesn't fit what I usually make. This might not work. And technically, all of those things could be true. But none of them automatically mean the idea is bad. Sometimes nobody's doing this is exactly why it might be interesting. Sometimes this doesn't fit what I usually make is a sign that you're growing. Give me 1 second. Sometimes This might not work just means you haven't tried it yet. Now, I do think there's a difference between a weird idea and a random idea. A weird idea can still have purpose, it can still have direction, there can still be something underneath it that makes sense. A random idea is just, what if I combine five things because I can? That doesn't automatically make it interesting. The question is, why? Why do you want to make this? What's interesting about it? What are you trying to explore? What does the idea let you do that a more normal version doesn't? If you can answer those questions, then the weirdness may actually be a strength. The Maker's Signal is kind of a weird idea. Honestly, this show is a good example. Think about it. Faith, creativity, technology, songwriting, books, programming, AI. 7 different ideas all bundled up into one called the Maker Signal. Those aren't exactly the categories people usually throw into one basket. Score! 3 points! If I were trying to make this fit into one nice little box, it probably wouldn't work. But the reason I think it does work is because there's a thread underneath it. It's creation, purpose, meaning, what we make, why we make it, what we believe while we're making it. So the show may be broad, but it isn't random. That difference matters. Think about the creative things that stick with you. A lot of them have something unexpected about them. Maybe it's the sound, maybe it's the visual style, maybe it's the promise, maybe it's the premise. Maybe it's the way 2 genres were combined. Maybe it's the thing that made you think, I've never heard it done like that before. That's powerful. Because familiar is comfortable, but unexpected is memorable. And I think creators sometimes forget that. I'm going to do a case in point here. When I was looking into doing something new with my songwriting, I love K-pop, by the way. I really do. And there are some great examples with K-pop that I love. There's there's BTS, there's Blackpink, Jennie, Rosé. If nobody know who those 2 girls are, Rosé and Jennie, they are solo artists who are also friends who are in Blackpink. They've got their all 4 girls that make up Blackpink can do their own solo projects. Rosé is the one who had a hit with Apata that I think Bruno Mars and her got together and made that a hit. How do you do that? That's kind of cool, and that really worked for Rosé. I love Blackpink's sound. Oddly enough, when I say that, I'm gonna end up saying this. I'm not a huge fan of Cat's Eye. Don't blacklist me for that. The problem with trying to look normal. Sometimes we spend so much time trying to make an idea look acceptable that we remove the part that made it interesting. I know what I was trying to say and I messed it up. We sand off the strange edges, we make it safer, more familiar, more expected, and then we wonder why it feels boring. Well, because we took out the thing that gave it personality. That doesn't mean every weird choice is genius. Definitely not. But it does mean you should be careful about polishing the life out of something. I remember what I was trying to say about K-pop. Okay, so I love pop music. Michael Jackson really influenced me early in my life. Not just because he understood music, not just because he knew how to make a song. He got hugely popular right around 1980, 81, 82. He should have gotten a Grammy for Off the Wall. He really should have. And when he didn't, he thought to himself, man, that really hurt. That sucked. I want to step it up and do something because I want some Grammys under my belt. Anybody know where I'm going with this? The Thriller album is what broke that mold for Michael Jackson. He got so upset over not winning a Grammy for Off the Wall. And the songs off of Off the Wall were really good songs. So what happened with Thriller? Him and Quincy Jones were working the death out of Thriller. Originally, Thriller was Starlight, and it just morphed. Beat It came into play. There were iconic songs, Thriller, Billie Jean. I mean, there were just hit after hit off of Thriller. And when I started listening to that music, Michael Jackson's music, it lit a fire in me about wanting to be a songwriter. And that was about the same time I was 3 years in playing guitar. I now know how to play Billie Jean on my guitar. And because of the way that my guitar is tuned, it's going to sound a little off when I try to play Billie Jean. But it's like doot 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 doot. It's got some funk and R&B feel to it, which makes it sound dark, but it is pop music. And that got my interest. So here's this guy who loves country music without a shadow of a doubt. I grew up on country. I love rock and roll. I love pop music. There's this new thing that I finally got an earbug about K-pop. So I started fooling around with K-pop, with my rock influences, with my country influences, and I started thinking, what if I started just evolving the music to do a hard rock glam metal like Def Leppard meets Nate Smith with Blackpink kind of a sound. Just mesh it together. And what came out when I was looking into all that was neon glam K-pop. Now, that shouldn't work, but if you go to my other channel that has all my music on it, go through it and really take a listen of the evolution of my music, even to now. Now it's just country K-pop, and I'm probably gonna switch it up a little bit more because that's my taste anymore. I love K-pop, like I said. So I'm not just redoing things just for the sake of doing it. I'm trying to find something that says this is who Benjamin Lyles is as an artist, as a songwriter. Like I said, I'm just weird. So if you have an idea and you're not sure whether it's bad or just weird, here are a few questions I think are worth asking. Does the idea actually interest me? Not, would this probably perform well? Do you care about it? Because if you're already bored with it, that's not a good sign. Second, can I explain why I want to make it? Even if the explanation is simple, I think it would be fun. I think this combination is interesting. I think there's a story here. I've never even seen anybody approach it this way. That's enough. Third, is there something I can test without building the whole thing? This is important. You don't always have to commit 6 months to find out whether an idea works. Make the small version. Write the demo. Record the short episode. I'm going to say this about Cat's Eye. And Ed Sheeran, I'm not a big Ed Sheeran fan, but he wrote the song Animal. And Cat's Eye made that song into what it is. But if you go back and watch a joint video of Ed Sheeran penning Animal and then listen to the girls sing it, Ed Sheeran sounds better. That's just me. Try the first chapter, see what happens. And fourth, if nobody else understood it yet, would I still want to try it? That question matters. Because sometimes you need a little time before the idea makes sense to anybody else, including you. And another thing, an idea can be bad in its first form and still contain something good. That happens all the time. Maybe the concept is good, but the execution is wrong. Maybe the title is terrible. Maybe the first version is too complicated. Maybe you're combining too many things. Maybe the core is there, but you haven't found the clean version yet. That doesn't mean throw it away. It might mean keep working, strip it down, figure out what the actual interesting part. Sometimes the good idea is hiding inside the messy one. And I think there's a faith side to this too. Sometimes the things we feel led to do not make immediate sense to everybody else. And I'm not saying every strange idea is some divine calling. No, that's not what I'm saying. That would get out of hand pretty quickly. But I do think there are times when obedience, creativity, and courage overlap. And sometimes you feel pulled toward something that does not fit the obvious path. And the question becomes, am I avoiding it because it's wrong or because I'm afraid of looking strange? And I'm gonna say it this way because I'm the kind of guy that would love to know how to dance, but the flip side to that is that I won't dance because I'm scared of just looking strange. Now, let's think about that for a moment, because here I am doing a podcast, and I never thought I'd be doing a podcast. So, am I avoiding it because it's wrong? Or because I'm afraid of looking strange? I'm looking pretty darn strange doing a podcast. And that goes for the same with my dancing analogy that I just made about myself. I want to learn how to dance, but I'm just afraid to look strange. Those are different things. Faith sometimes asks us to be willing to look a little unusual, not for attention, not just to be different, but because purpose does not always come packaged in something everybody recognizes. And here's something else I think creators should hear. Even actual bad ideas can be useful. You can learn from them. You can discover what doesn't work. You can find one little piece that leads to something better. Case in point. I'm thinking about this for a moment. When Thomas Edison was working on the light bulb and somebody had asked him, how long did it take you to make the light bulb, and why did you never stop? And Edison's answer was, yeah, I failed about 99 times, but it took that 100th time for me to make that light bulb. That's pretty amazing. So you just never know. He found 99 different ways of making that light bulb that didn't work, but by that 100th time, he figured out what would make it work. So by discovering what doesn't work, maybe you end up stumbling upon what works. So you can find that one little piece that leads to something better. You can learn your own taste. You can learn what you never want to do again. That's still progress. I don't think we need to be terrified of having bad ideas. Have the bad ideas. Fail. Get out of your own way and just get it done. You know, I forget that comedian's name off the top of my head, but get her done. We need to get better at testing them. That's different. There's one trap here too. Don't try to be weird just to be weird. That gets old fast. If the whole pitch is, Look how strange this is. Okay, and? There still has to be something there. A reason, a story, a hook, a purpose, something human underneath it. Weirdness gets attention. Meaning keeps attention. That's the balance. I think one of the simplest rules is this: if an idea keeps coming back, pay attention to it. If you keep thinking about it, maybe test it. If it makes you curious, see where it goes. You do not have to publish everything. You do not have to turn every idea into a business. You do not have to announce every experiment to the world. Sometimes you can just make something because you want to find out whether it works. That is allowed. Actually, I think more creators should do that. Your job as a creator is not to make sure every idea works. That's impossible. Your job is to explore, to make decisions, to learn, to refine, to know when to keep going and when to let something go. That means some ideas are going to fail. Some are going to surprise you, and some of the ones you were most unsure about may become the things that you're happiest to find, or even tried for that matter. So the next time you have an idea and immediately think, that's weird, maybe don't throw it away yet. Ask, is it actually bad, or is it just unfamiliar, like my podcast? When I first started thinking about doing it, I was doing something else, and I kept thinking to myself, well, I've got this equipment. It just feels unfamiliar to me. Does it have purpose? Does it interest me? Doing a podcast, this is like a breeze for me now. And it does interest me. Can I test it? Is there something inside it worth exploring? Because sometimes the strange idea is the doorway to something really good. And sometimes, yeah, it's just a bad idea. That happens too. But you'll never know if you kill everything before it gets a chance to breathe, to try things, experiment. Make the small version, see what works, and don't be afraid if the idea doesn't fit neatly into a box. Some of the best things don't. I'm Benjamin Lyles. This is the Maker's Signal. Faith, creativity, technology, making what matters. Thanks for spending some time with me, and I'll see you in the next one.